In a world where we extract value from the earth, fossil fuels, metals, minerals, then along came the information age. We discovered that data could be mined just as profitably as the other resources. Every click, every search, every purchase, information became the resource. But something has now changed. Quietly, almost invisibly, we have entered another age. Not the information age. I'm calling it the extraction age. The extraction age is an age in which the most valuable resource is no longer beneath our feet or in digital realms. It is within us. Anything that can be extracted will be. Think about your day. How many times did you reach for your phone without anyone asking you to? Not because you needed it, just because your hand reached for it. What if that habit isn't an accident? In the industrial age, we mined the earth. In the information age, we mined information. Now, we mine attention, our thoughts, our habits, our emotions, even our moments of silence. Platforms no longer compete simply for customers. They compete for hours, minutes, seconds. Every notification asks for a little more. Every recommendation asks us to stay a little longer. Little by little, our attention has become the product. Have you ever picked up your phone just to check the time, only to look up 20 minutes later, unable to remember why you picked it up at all in the first place? Not because we chose to sell our attention, but because someone learned how to collect it. The greatest extraction is not sucking your time. It is sucking your ability to decide what your time belongs to. If your attention can be directed, your habits shaped, and your decisions steered, then where exactly does your freedom begin? If attention has become a resource, what happens to leisure? There was once a time when silence belonged to us. It asked for nothing, sold nothing, measured nothing. It simply allowed us to be alone with our own thoughts. Today, our minds remain busy, yet strangely unfed. We mistake motion for meaning, novelty for nourishment, engagement for enrichment. Somewhere along the way, boredom became unacceptable. The moment silence disappears, we rush to fill it. The body may be sitting still, and yet the mind is endlessly being taxed. The logic of extraction rarely stays in one place. Once we learn to treat something as a resource, the boundary begins to move. First the earth, then information, now attention. We no longer ask, is this part of life sacred? Instead, we ask, can it be monetized? Now, relationships become content. Personal memories become data. Private moments become products. Even the human body has become another resource. Around the world, human tissue is processed, stored, distributed, and used in ways that would have seemed unimaginable only a generation ago. The question quietly changes, not should this be kept apart, reserved, sacred, but instead it becomes, how can this be used, monetized, commodified? That is the defining question of the extraction age. Perhaps the greatest danger is not the extraction itself, but how normal it begins to feel. Every age has its own behavioral threshold. This is the point at which yesterday's impossibility quietly becomes today's routine, not because someone forced us, but because we adapted, one small step at a time, until eventually we no longer notice the boundary we crossed. So how do we resist? Probably not by abandoning technology. Technology is not the issue, per se. The issue is whether we still possess the ability to decide what deserves our attention. Not every silence needs to be filled, and not every thought needs to become content. Not every spare moment needs another screen. Some parts of life become valuable precisely because they remain untouched, because they are not optimized, they're not measured, not monetized. In closing, let us be clear, the extraction age is defined not by what we produce, but by what is taken from us, often quietly, often willingly. If we wish to remain fully human, we may have to protect the one resource no one else should own, our attention, our inner silence, our ability to to be present without being harvested. If every quiet moment belongs to someone else, then when do we belong to ourselves? Perhaps the last bastion of freedom that remains is the part of ourselves that cannot be and ought not be extracted. That wraps up today's rant. So off you go, and thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section on your way out. If you found anything useful, you can take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. You can even ring the little bell for notifications. Until next time, this has been Katatu saying so long from Universe 26, the channel at the end of the universe.